Good morning, everyone. It is Thursday, January 11th, 2024, and it is your daily crypto news. My name is Matt, and it is 8:24 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. That's going to come very important in a minute because we have a Bitcoin spot ETF, and it starts trading in an hour. So as we know, the SEC granted a Bitcoin spot ETF, and it's such big news that Franklin Templeton, the global investment management organization with around $1.5 trillion of assets under management, changed their profile picture on X to Benjamin Franklin with laser eyes. If you guys are scholars of Bitcoin history, the day of the approval couldn't have been any more perfect. 15 years ago today was probably the first tweet mentioning Bitcoin, and it was sent by Hal Finney, a pioneer, the OG. Some people think is or was, because he passed, Satoshi Nakamoto. He tweeted, "Running Bitcoin." Well, let me tell you, the day wasn't normal. The day was not even historic. The day was frustrating as all hell, but I'm going to get into that in a little bit. Because of all the debacle, all the shenanigans, all of the frustrations, and even after we got the Bitcoin spot ETF and all the dust settled, there was still eyebrows being raised. Because we saw the voting breakdown of the approval of the Bitcoin ETF. Now bear with me because I'm going to mess up some of the names of the SEC commissioners that voted for or against the spot Bitcoin ETF. First is Hester Peirce, obviously voted for the spot Bitcoin ETF. Commissioner Ueda voted for the Bitcoin ETF. Now who voted against the Bitcoin ETF? That was Commissioner Crenshaw and Commissioner Lizarraga. Now if you're keeping tally, that is 2 for and 2 against. And so that leaves Gary Gensler to vote. Now, since we have a spot Bitcoin ETF today, you can assume, safely assume, and rightfully assume that Gary Gensler voted for the spot Bitcoin ETF, to everybody's surprise. Another thing that people are taking note of is that the 2 commissioners that voted for the spot Bitcoin ETF, outside of Gensler, were Republicans. And the 2 that voted against were, you guessed it, Democrats. Hester Peirce put out a statement following the Bitcoin ETF approval, and here's some of the highlights of those comments. Today marks the end of an unnecessary but consequential saga. For reasons I've explained many times before, the logic of this long string of denials is perplexing. The Commission has driven retail investors to less efficient means of obtaining Bitcoin exposure in the securities markets, until a court reminded us that our unexplained discounting of the obvious financial and mathematical relationship between the spot and futures markets falls short of the standard for reasoned decision-making. We persisted in denying a spot Bitcoin ETP. The Commission, rather than admitting error, offers a weak explanation for its change of heart. We squandered a decade of opportunities to do our job. And that was from Hester Peirce, who obviously voted to approve the spot Bitcoin ETF yesterday. Now, if you were like me watching the markets for the past couple of days, you would know that this was not smooth. Nothing was smooth about this whole process. And it could have been. It could have been just come out, make a statement. We have a spot Bitcoin ETF. Everybody, good luck. This is not financial advice, right? But no, this is not what happened. Yesterday was a cluster. It was choppy. Bitcoin was up and Bitcoin was down. Why? Because nobody knew what the hell was going on. But wait, before we go into yesterday, let's just review what happened on Tuesday, January 9th. Tuesday, around 3:15, a tweet came out and said, "Today, the SEC grants approval for a Bitcoin ETF for listing on all registered national security exchanges. The approved Bitcoin ETF will be subject to the ongoing surveillance and compliance measures to ensure continued investor protection." That was sent by the SEC on Tuesday, January 9th, at around 3:15 p.m. Eastern Time. Very soon after that, the tweet was taken down, and the SEC tweeted the SEC X account was compromised and an unauthorized post was posted. The SEC has not approved the listing and trading of a spot Bitcoin exchange traded fund. Now, when the first tweet was released, what do you think happened? Yes, number go up. When the second tweet was released, what do you think happened? Number go down. So obviously this was a big kerfluffle. So much so that Elon and X had to come out and fact check to see if the SEC was actually telling the truth about this, saying, were you really hacked or were you gaming the market? Turns out this was internal and they didn't have two-factor authentication on their account. And yeah, this was from their side. On purpose, by accident, no clue, but this was internal. And it looks like it was because their account was in fact compromised, but internally. This caught the eye of Senators J.D. Vance and Tom Tillis, and they want an explanation because this was obviously not good for the markets, not good for security or trust of the SEC. And in a quick little tangent, meanwhile, while everybody's wondering about the competency of the SEC, there's a defense secretary, like the head of our military, that reports directly to the President of the United States, in an ICU, undergoing treatment for prostate cancer without telling anybody for 4 days, not even the number 2 person who's on vacation in Puerto Rico. Now, are we just showing that there's competency problems in all top levels of our government? Maybe, but I digress. This is not what we're talking about today. Anyway, fast forward to yesterday, January 10th. The news starts to leak. It looks like this is really going to happen. We started seeing tickers getting listed on different exchanges. I think ARK Investments was the first ticker to start getting listed. And then on the SEC website, it came out, a 22-page PDF document announcing the approval of 11 spot Bitcoin ETFs, which then disappeared. Now, in all fairness, to be generous, even though we saw that there was incompetency already, it was behind a 404. So the speculation is that this approval was released. The SEC government servers could not handle the influx of people to see for themselves to make sure before they started trading on the news, and then it went away. A lot of people downloaded the PDF. A lot of people screenshot the PDF and said, no, we saw it on the SEC website. However, when anybody came to go check, it was not there. What do you think happened? Number go up and number go right back down, and then go sideways, and then go up, and then go down, and then go sideways. And then everyone was very, very confused for about maybe 40 minutes until the SEC chair, Gary Gensler, issued a statement on the spot Bitcoin ETF, saying, while we approve the listing and trading of certain spot Bitcoin ETP shares today, we did not approve or endorse Bitcoin. That's some bitch ass shit right there, right? I mean, what other product gets listed on exchanges, on the markets, that has an ETF, that the SEC chair, even though he voted for it, thank you, Gary, comes out and literally makes a statement about the product? Like, imagine that if he did that for a different company. Imagine him coming out and saying, like, we don't approve or endorse Microsoft or Apple or Tesla or any ETF or any other security out there. Like, that is crazy, right? Am I just being sensitive? Whatever. We got our win. Let's move forward. Well, moving forward to today, Grayscale has the bragging rights for the first spot Bitcoin ETF to begin trading, even though I think I was right with my prediction. ARK Invest was the first to be listed on exchanges. Because all these ETFs were approved at the same time, I can't be right or wrong about that, but I was always saying that I think it's going to be ARK. And, well, ARK was the first ticker, ARKB. I'm going to give myself a point for that one. So anyway, what can we expect today? A lot of market makers are already out there and they're providing liquidity so that the ETF can start trading and we can have a very smooth day, hopefully. Dave Mann of Franklin Templeton's head of ETF products and capital markets, he told CoinDesk that it's difficult to predict what inflows might look like in the first few days. While he expects that there's going to be tons of excitement, there might be a more gradual ramp up in interest than people appreciate, meaning that everybody's excited. Greed index is probably pretty high right now. There's going to be a lot of tweets, a lot of news, a lot of outlets talking about the Bitcoin spot ETF. However, it might just take a longer time horizon than we expect to get that money start to pump in. Days, weeks, months, years? Well, excitement around the spot Bitcoin ETF is expected to propel mass adoption of Bitcoin, and Standard Chartered predicts a substantial amount of inflows of around $50 to $100 billion into Bitcoin ETFs in 2024 alone, and eyeing $200,000 Bitcoin by 2025. Grain of salt, but that's what Standard Chartered is stating. Before the markets even opened today, BlackRock's iShares Bitcoin Trust, ticker IBIT or IBIT, is already trading 25% up pre-market. And Bitcoin is at, well, I'll tell you in today's crypto prices.
Here comes the money.
Here we go. Money talk.
And the time is at 8:50 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Let's get this price in and this podcast out before all of this becomes irrelevant in about 40 minutes. Oh man, I love this. I love this industry. Anyway, fear greed is obviously greedy. We're at 74. Bitcoin's at $47,300, up around 5% in 24, 9% in 7. And this is either going to go up until the bell opens and then up after that, or we're going to go down. Now, I know that's just stupid, but when I say up and down, I'm not talking about sideways. I'm not saying like, oh, we're going to bounce between 47.1 and 47.5 for the next 48 hours. No, we're going to either go up to like 49 or we're going down to like 43. This is going to be some swings today, I think. I hope you've been paying attention to Ethereum, because Ethereum's up 11% in 24 or 18% in 7 at $26,643. Tether's number 3. Binance is at 314. That was something I was eyeing, but you know, Americans can't really trade BNB anymore properly. It's up 7.4%. And Solana is up 12.2% in 24. It's at 105.27, but it's only, by the way, up 5.5% in 7. It's been fluctuating quite a bit. Running off the top 10, we have XRP, which is up 11.1% at 61.5. USDC is number 7. And by the way, USDC's parent company, Circle, just filed to go IPO, a publicly traded stablecoin. What is Gary going to say about that? Cardano's number 8, up 21.5% at $39.96. Woo! Avalanche is number 9. I told you, don't sleep on that. It was at $36 just a couple of days ago. It's up 18.2% in 24. It's at $39.95. And Dogecoin is up 11.4% at 8.6 cents. Let's go down a little further. Going into the top 15, number 11 is Polkadot. It's up 22.5% at 847. Man, some of these are just juicy. Tron is number 12. I don't care what it does. I'll never invest in Tron. Matic is 13, up 16%. It's at 94.8 cents. Chainlink is number 14, up 11% at 1542. And Toncoin is at number 15, up 3.6% at $2.28. The total market cap is at 1.8 trillion, up 6.8%. A Bitcoin dominance of 51.3 and an ETH dominance of 17.6. That was our show today. We'll be back tomorrow with Asia focus, because I want to know what the Asia market is going to be doing with the spot Bitcoin ETF situation. I just read that South Korea is not going to even allow a spot Bitcoin ETF. They're still not even going to put it on the books. They don't care what the hell is happening in the West. You're not going to have a spot Bitcoin ETF in South Korea. Will they change their mind? I'm looking forward to hearing what Sarah has to say about it tomorrow. And until then, happy hodling, everyone.